not only for you, but for me too, because I like to make my life interesting too. But this machine, it's always got the same problem. So whoever uses this thing, if they can globally reset it, to set it to factory defaults, I would be very happy. It's very hard to just walk in out of a foreign country and sit down and hit something and it goes, you hit it and it goes, ah! But anyway, welcome to you. It's nice to be able to speak again. And I would like to discuss something which I personally feel is very important. And that is that when one is doing something and then one decides that that's not good anymore, sometimes one tends to throw out everything. Just like when, for example, I don't know if you have this experience, but if you had a relationship with somebody and then it turns bad, you reject that person completely. And then sometimes you forget any good that that person could have ever had or done or had been. Technically, there's a term for that. It's called a Thermidorian reaction, but you don't have to translate that unless you know what it is. It's a complete 180-degree turn from one position to the other. When one is doing one thing, one is attached to one thing, one all of a sudden says, no, that's no good. One turns to be something else totally. Now, that's not necessarily bad, because sometimes you have to push away something completely in order to step back and look at it from another point of view. And when one takes distance from something, one can see it in another kind of perspective that one hadn't seen before. Now, when one looks at something which one has rejected, one sometimes says, oh, it's good I did that, and then walks away. And sometimes, after a while, one looks back and says, gee, but you know, there was some good in that. Like when you didn't like a person after a while, then all of a sudden you look back and say, well, then maybe there's something good about it. Now, you may be wondering, what is this guy talking about anyway here? But what I'm really trying to say is that I think that there are many elements in religious traditions which are very good, but the reasons why they are good has been forgotten. And because nobody really understands the reasons behind something or the original impetus to do something, one just thinks it's just foolishness. Many people today have rejected God or godliness or even spirituality for that very reason. They saw the way in which it was presented and thought that this must be what it is. But it doesn't have to be like that. But it is hard to see past the smoke of the ritual, the fire of the fanaticism. Or the rigidity of fundamental thinking. It's hard to see beyond that because it is always being presented as something perfect. This is the way it is because this is the way it was given, and it has been like that forever, and it will be like this forever. And because of this, some people look at it and say, forget it, I have nothing to do with such kind of religiosity. Now, in order to actually get the essence out of something, one has to detach oneself from being eager for the good and criticizing the bad. To not just be attached to what one thinks is good and to be averse to that which one thinks is bad. But to just look at something completely neutrally and allow the essence of that to come to one. For example, any person looking at any other person. Now, nobody is perfect. So you might look at a person and find defect. Maybe physical body is too fat, too skinny, or some kind of marking, or old age, or wrinkles, or whatever. Yes, everybody has these problems. Sometimes I see documentaries about movie stars, and even those who everyone worships, sometimes they say, you know, my nose is too big. I mean, you cannot find perfection. So, if one goes into some observation of a person with some prejudice, oh, there is a mark, therefore something's wrong. One thinks like that in the mind sometimes. So then you can't really understand the person or appreciate the person. What to speak of love. Now, it is very hard to see neutrally. Because we are conditioned to expect certain things from certain persons. But part of the discipline of evolution requires that one is a bit detached from the world before one makes any kind of a judgment. Now, it is not good to make judgments in general. But we have to do it. We judge this food is good to eat, this food is not good to eat. We judge this place is good to go, that place is not good to go. We can't avoid making judgments. But if you are a little detached before you make a judgment, you don't end into condemnation. You may say, I like this, I don't like that, but you don't say, I condemn this. This is one of the major problems when one tries to be spiritual. And when one understands the viewpoint of the Supreme, one can understand how to conquer over that particular problem. In fact, the Supreme does not condemn, does not judge, because the Supreme is interested in everyone's welfare. We've discussed this in the past. Now, because of that, many of the religious ideas, spiritual practices, and disciplines were given in a very pure form in the beginning. But were later on made into something else by human beings who judged, who condemned, who put values on what was good and what was bad. And because we observe and judge and see things from our perspective like that, we can cause havoc in a tradition, for example. In a religious tradition, if a person is very powerful, they can place the stamp of their values on that tradition. I suppose historically you can trace in all of the major religions of the world periods when a powerful personality, either a king or some teacher or a writer or whoever, stamped into the tradition their own particular distortion. I don't really want to speak about that today, but I'm using this as an example to say, let's go back and look at the essence from a detached point of view for a second. I find the essence of spirituality to have a few elements which are absolutely essential to it. Now, besides all of the ideas of what spiritual is, I feel the number one factor is love. The number one obstacle is fear. And this has to be placed within a framework of devotional discipline. Now, when somebody hears the word discipline, they get all kinds of ideas. I know, because I get the same ideas. But if you think about it, when you want to succeed at something, you need a certain amount of discipline. Now, the problem comes is when I try to discipline you. Then all the negative aspects of discipline enter into the situation. But when I discipline me because I want to, it's different. Now, why do I want to? If you discipline you because I told you you want to, or I told you what you want, that's also not good. But if you or I want to do something because I like the way it feels, and therefore I discipline myself, that's actually much better. Now generally in organizations which speak about spirituality, discipline always is stuck together with rules and regulations. You must do this, you must not do that. Now, most people feel strange when they're told you must do this and you must not do that. Maybe even the person or organization telling you this has a great idea, maybe. But I have seen that unless it's your idea and you work to make it occur, it doesn't work in the long run. In other words, you are number one in the process of spiritual life. And everybody follows after you. If you have anything above you dictating to you, there are troubles in your heart. And then someone comes along and says, surrender. Really, that causes friction in the heart. It seems to me, at least, that real spirituality is when the Spirit flows out in its spiritual nature. And when that happens, with that freedom that we so thirst for, it's a totally different thing. And then, when we speak about discipline, we speak about commitment, these are things we do because we really have a taste for them. Because it is very difficult to really advance in any discipline, or wrong word, to really advance in any kind of spiritual science or evolutionary process very consciously without some kind of discipline. Now, the idea of this discussion was not to talk about discipline, but rather to speak about the elements of relating with the Supreme that are related to being having a certain kind of commitment that means a certain kind of a devotion to something. Now, if we were to consider the situation of Gaur Nitai here, we could have Radha Krishna here. If it was allowed in the Islamic tradition, we could have Allah here. We could have Buddhas here. We could have Christ here. Or Yahweh. Or any personality that is worshipped as the Supreme. But the idea of having entities who represent the Supreme is an essential element. Even if you're very advanced, and you can see the Supreme in everyone's heart, and I'm not talking like the super soul kind of thing, but you can see that this part of the Supreme is there, here, 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 here. still you would be very happy and you like very much to concentrate on someone who's not the part, but it's the whole. But people have trouble with that because they are not the whole. Now some people think, well, that's silly. God is of course the whole. But God is not the whole. Unless you understand that you are also God. So if everybody and everything is also God, then God is the whole and God is everything. Well, actually that is true. But it's very difficult to deal with. You know, how do you deal with the guy down the street who just dumped his garbage out of the window on your head? Here you are, totally absorbed in the oneness of all God everywhere. And then, now you may be imagining, well, it's just his, old clothes and dirty tissues, and it just bounced off. No. It was mushy and disgusting and stank. And it's dripping down your face. Okay, at that point, that person up there seems to be something quite different than that part of that one supreme God, greatness, oneness, fantastic. It's impossible for us all the time to see like that. Therefore, when the concept of deity was given to mankind, it was given with the idea that mankind could connect to the supreme oneness and greatness of God through deity. Now another problem came when people started distorting everything. Deity was very great. I am very small. And then immediately there was this difference again created. And then instead of the real purpose of deity and us coming together, we came apart. Because how does this little tiny me who's so filthy inside really connect with that wonderful, great, pure, absolute Godhead? So another distortion was created. I'm so tiny, so small, so horrible. The only way I can deal with it is to offer everything to God and just serve with total, absolute selflessness. And take whatever remnants are given to me by mercy. I'll bet you quite a few of you think, well, that doesn't sound so bad. Well, sure it doesn't sound bad. That's why everybody's been doing it for thousands of years. But if we were to get to the essence of it and understand again why deity is here, deity is here so that we can somehow or another understand that greatness of God being everywhere in all things. And all our love and all our devotion and all our offerings to the deity are meant to help that grow. Now, here's one of the mysteries of deity. The more I give my love, my devotion, my thoughts, my heart, my emotions, my acts, for example, of bringing some food, offering my art, offering a performance, a dance, a poem, sharing a thought, a beautiful thought, sharing flowers, sharing pleasurable gifts and items. Now, what is actually happening? A materialist, a very materialistically minded person, that's somebody who does not really consider spirituality as being valid, could say, you bring all these gifts, you think you're going to get some benefit from it, and the persons who are the priests take everything home and eat it or use it. Well, to a certain extent, that's true. But that's not the point. Really what is happening is something very much different and more subtle and much more sublime. Let's look at Gornitai, and I'm going to face them as I'm speaking. And again, any deities would do in this demonstration, but they're here, so we love them. Let's talk about them. Now, when I give my love to them, when I look at them and just appreciate them, and I have such good thoughts about them, and I want to do something for them, I am taking my energy and sending it that way. And when many people are doing that, that's an enormous energy coming towards the deity. All from the room, everybody, everywhere, giving that energy. And then what happens? The deities accept the energy. They amplify it with their energy. And they send it back. Let's talk about, you've got a person who is favorable to you. That's a very important factor. Deity is always favorable to everyone. Don't forget that. There's nobody who's too sinful, too fallen, too rotten, too horrible. Doesn't happen. Because the soul inside is deity. Let's say you have a favorable person. You offer them your love. They feel that love. And they offer it back to you. But now, your love is amplified by their love. And you go, oh. Take that love and amplify it back with your love. It becomes amplified by the exchange. This doesn't happen all the time amongst us people because we are not so capable of doing that. We've got problems. Sometimes those problems stop us from offering that love in the first place or amplifying it and sending it back in the second place. Sometimes it's so hard for us in the first place to do it that we're relieved that we did it, and we wouldn't even think of going through the effort of amplifying it and sending it back because it's too scary. Or our minds start thinking of something else and we get dragged away. But in theory, you can just keep sending love, receiving return, amplify it, send it back. The other person amplifies it, sends it back. You can just have this love grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, or appreciation grow and grow and grow, and you have wonderful things. But that's a theory. I know it works to a certain level. But at one point, according to your evolutionary stage, it runs out. That's why neither me, neither you are standing up there. Because we are limited in the capacity we have to reciprocate. We are littler amplifiers. We've only got like 75 watts worth. But they don't have that problem. They are not little amplifiers. They're big amplifiers. And there's no limit to the amount of amplification or reciprocation they will make with us. Because they don't have the same restrictions that we have. They don't have biological restrictions. They don't have psychological restrictions. They don't have emotional restrictions. It's not that they've got financial problems and therefore their mind gets deviated. It's not that they have an appointment to go to. It's not like they're worrying about their baby whose diaper needs changing. They've got, well, nothing to do. If we're not here, they're fine. But if we're here, they're really fine. Just the fact that we're here, they like that. The fact that we're talking about them, they really like that. Now, if you really want to get this loop powerful, it was like 2 years ago or whenever it was, we did this tuning to the deities. We did that. We sent out our love, we accepted their love, we sent out our love, we accepted their love. We just were riding on the energy between us. Because we are feeding this love and devotion system. We are feeding it. This is what love and devotion means. It doesn't matter if you've got somebody up there in his bed sheet who had a lousy haircut and he's waving around some sticks. That doesn't matter. But it's also not bad. It's fine. But that is not the end of love and devotion. We, all of us, have the exact capacity to feed the system of love and devotion by offering. This word offer is a very good word. If you think of it as a sacrifice, that's horrible. Can you imagine? You come into somebody you're supposed to love or you want to love, and you're like, you know, you got your flower. I'm making a sacrifice for you. I'm sacrificing my flower to you. Please take it. Thank you. Oh, yuck. It stinks. This concept of like doing it as a sacrifice, it stinks. Sacrifice means I'm doing something I don't want to do. Why? Because I'm going to get something out of it in some time in the future. Okay, Gornatai, here's like 1,000 rubles. I really don't have enough money right now, and I'm sorry, I can't give more than that. That's the top I can go. That's my sacrifice. And in the back of my mind, no doubt you know that I expect some return here. Otherwise, why do it? So long as you think of things in terms of sacrifice, you think in terms of business. And offering, what is an offering? I really want to give this to you. It's a gift. I don't expect anything in return. I'm just giving you my love. I'm just giving you myself. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but I know it'll be fine. I'm just offering you everything I want to, because I want to. No other reason than that. Not because someone told me to. Not because I'm going to get some kind of liberation. I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to get some more money in this life. But because I know the essence of this thing. And the essence of this thing is it's us here. They have value here because of us. If we're not here, why do they have to be here? Okay, you might say they always have value. They are the supreme. But why, again, essentially, is deity there if it's not for us? If you believe in the spiritual sky, in the heaven, they could just as well be there. They don't have to be here. They, without us, don't have the same meaning. And in fact, us, without them, don't have the same meaning. And what makes this work is when we are us together. But the difference between us as a group of people who might have a party and enjoy our lives is that we are not amplifying in the same way our love and devotion and making it grow so nicely that we just feel so wonderful about this usness in the same way. Yes, you can feel that with other people. Yes. And yes, you must. But they do it to a very much incredibly greater degree and with a much purer energy. And when we offer our love to them, we don't have any little problems in the back of our minds. We don't have it in the back of our hearts. It can just be fully, completely unconditional. Because that energy we are giving is our relationship, because they receive it, they give it back. We meet somewhere in the middle. This idea of meeting in the middle, this is the whole secret. You may give everything to them, but then you're over there. They may give everything to you, then they're over here. You've got to meet in the middle. This is an energetic allegory to try to help us understand what we're talking about by usness. We've got to meet in the middle. And when we do, that energy flows everywhere. It's like a transmitter. We all become something more. If we're over here, okay, we become something more, but they're the same. If we're over there, they're something more, we're the same. But when we both meet in the middle, we are now a unit which is greater, both of us. Can you handle that? It is really the essence of connection. When all of us do it together. Okay, it sounded really good what I just said about meeting in the middle and becoming greater. Add another person. It expanded. Add another person. That unit is more. Add another person, add another person, add another person. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Back to the 75 watts that we are. The reason I use that number is because actually the body gives off 75 watts of heat. That's why when it's cold out or hot out and many people get together, it gets really hot. Because we're all little heaters. You never thought of yourself as a heater, did you? But you are. Amongst many things, you're also a heating machine. Now, we're also energetic generators. We're generating. So when all of these generators get together and they generate in the same frequency, it gets to be really powerful. Huh? Let's say I'm generating some frequency which goes off over that way, and you generate a frequency which goes off over that way, and somebody else generates a frequency which goes off over that way. Okay, we're generators, but the accumulated effect is not so great. But when we're all generating in the same place, in the same direction, towards the same worshipped object, then if we meet here in the middle, sending out our love and receiving the love, and we're creating this system of oneness of all our love and devotion, our energy, it becomes incredibly powerful. And what's the point of that? You feel better. You feel good. Because now you start to understand why you are here. Who you actually are. And what is the whole point here? What is deity? That's why offering of energy, in whatever way it manifests, is the key to really evolving spiritually. Not as a sacrifice. Not as a means to increase the riches of the organization which keeps deity. Not as a payment for our sins. Not even as a means of purification. As such, but rather a way in which we can all grow and experience that which is greater than what we are now. Unless plants grow, they're dead. Growth is the natural consequence of life. And people don't feel right unless they are growing on all levels. You can, of course, live without growing. It's okay. It's possible. You'll grow slowly in different ways. But mainly that growth would be like through negative experiences. The reason why spirituality was given to mankind as an addition to the life of man was because for this. Okay, just tell me when it's was because man needed it to grow beyond what man was at the point at which man started this whole travel or journey through existence. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because I like it myself. They like it, and they want us to do it. Other than that, there's really no reason. Now, somebody may say, I can't, or it's a struggle, or I don't see why. We can talk about that when he changes the tape. I don't even know who he is. This Muslim person came and was chanting mantras. Huh? Wardabai. Very nice man. Great energy. I thought everything was fantastic until the point when he said that the women shouldn't wear makeup and should come with their heads covered. But besides that, when he was doing the essential things that give him his power, it was wonderful. He was invoking the presence of God, the healing presence, and chanting mantras which were opening up and cleansing away the dirt in all of the auras and energy fields of the people in the room. And what he was doing, which he didn't tell anybody, was that by this invocation, he was calling all of these angels, who were also Islamic angels, by the way. Didn't even know they existed, but they were there. Islamic angels who were doing these things, healing people, cleansing away, opening up. It was wonderful. And when he chanted certain mantras, spikes of energy were coming out of him. And then he changed the mantra, and then waves of energy, circular energy, were coming out. Some of them were coming out like explosive patterns. Every mantra had different waves of energy coming out of this person. And we all felt great. That sound vibration was actually working. He made no demands. He made no restrictions on us. He had no expectations. He wasn't doing it for money. He just came in and wanted to be of service. To be of service to people because he felt this is what deity wanted. Maybe in the Islamic tradition, deity is not there. But they're bowing down to deity. And they are creating deity mentally. And by their mantras and by their meditations, they are doing essentially the exact same thing. Yeah? It's just that they don't want to have deity standing there because they don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that this is God. But in essence, there's no difference. The energy of God is there. The energy of God is there in the Muslim tradition too. So his mantras had a great effect. Now, when you chant mantra with certain intentions, you are taking deity in sound and making this usness again. Just like if I wanted to heal and I just chanted Hare Krishna. But I did it in a very special way. When I chanted Hare Krishna, what I was doing was invoking sound deity. And my heart was just simply intending that together, me who's invoking deity and deity will heal you, it would work. That's what he's doing. He takes the Quran, chants it, invokes the sound vibration of God, and intends that you should be healed. In fact, that's what he's praying. God, please heal these people. So sound vibration has such a power. Visualization has such a power. You have such a power. And when one wants to amplify that power, experience that power, deity is very helpful. Life is all about experiencing. There's nothing else to it than that. And what you go through when you are evolving through your life is choosing how to relate to the experiences you have. I'm suggesting this experience, this we-ness, this oneness. We-ness is oneness. This experience helps us better than an awful lot of other experiences. It's an acceleration of experience. Anyway, I've been talking for a long time. Probably 500,000 other things I can say, but really, I think my message tonight, and I really feel it is what they want. Actually, I'll rephrase that. It's what we want. Is to offer the experience of how our energy sent towards them is amplified and sent back, and how if we capture that essence in that spiritual energetic structure we create, it can do wonderful things. You can do whatever you want, you can experience whatever you want, but ultimately all that counts is your feeling about the experience. You can have everybody in the world singing your name, but if you don't feel good about the experience, it's meaningless to you. You can have a child smile at you, which is one of the most, materially speaking, insignificant experiences. And you can feel like anything wonderful about it. Even though these two experiences are totally separated in dimension, the only thing that counts is how you feel about the experience. That is actually the essence of life. And you will, as you evolve, see your experiences differently as you feel differently about them. I hope this could have been some help tonight. I just tried to be of service. I don't know if I've succeeded, but I tried. If you have any question, I try to answer too. Yeah?
Сегодня я пришла после этого божества, и так вот подняла руки, а божества стали танцевать. Так руками, руки совершенно человеческие, и глаза, может, они как движутся, я тоже руки так, потом я хотела им поклониться, но энергия здесь была такая мощная, я не могла соединить руки вот вместе, и долго так мы танцевали, так я руки развести могу, а соединить вместе никак не могу. Потом, в конце концов, я все Китай, просто Отец наш Небесный, или как другим, просто энергия там идет, если ты искренне, с любовью, то все это начинает работать вот так необыкновенно. И вот такая же картина у меня была в Индии, когда я была во Вриндаване. Но потом, когда я вернулась из Вриндавана, здесь почему-то этого не было. То есть там это настолько, как я выразилась бы, намолено, да, значит, к божествам так много приходит индусов и всех с вот этой любовью, что действительно эта энергия там постоянно находится. А когда я вернулась туда, здесь не было этого, я не знаю почему. Вот это просто удивительный феномен. То есть вот то, что говорил Вишнупад, это действительно так. Если мы, наверное, потому что здесь мало молились стоит, если мы вот эту вот настоящую любовь не чувствуем, то ничего не получается. То есть частота, вибрации должны быть определенные.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the whole point. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it. The same exact relationship that I just described is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. You understand that, right? Of course. The exact thing I just described is also the exact thing that goes on every single platform. Let's take the gopis, for instance. The gopis simply offer everything to Krishna. Yet, Krishna and the gopis together are something greater. Understand that? They create something greater. The exact same principle is there all the way up to the whatever platform you want to go. And in fact, I feel this is the whole essence of what oneness and difference means. You're different, so there can be two of you doing it. But you're one, therefore you can meet. That's why Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is so fantastic. And yet so few people taste that we-ness. When Lord Chaitanya came, what he said was, You don't have to be a gopi. You don't have to be in the spiritual sky. Right here, right now, I'm going to just chant and you're going to be absorbed in it and we're going to be together in Sankirtan and we're going to experience this new us. And everybody forgot it. We got involved in philosophy. We got involved in building structures. We got involved in all these external things. And we forgot that without this, that is nothing. Where did they live? If you don't know, you don't have experience historically, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. You know where they live? In straw huts with mud floors. And when Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were going through the forest, where they live? Under a tree. None of these external things have anything to do, in essence, with them. They never asked for it. They never said you should do it. They didn't care about it. It's not the point. There's only one point. The connection between us and them. Connection doesn't mean one way. Two-way connection. Meet in the middle. Together. San. You know, in kirtan means to chant, right? San. It means together. It's the togetherness that makes the spirituality. When we're a community of people who wish to get into that we-ness structure. You want a structure? Here's the structure. Us. And that's it. There's no more. There's no less. There's nothing else. Us. That's the structure. And that structure can be anywhere, everywhere, at all times. Doesn't matter who your deity is. We. Deity and us. That's the structure. And that's the essence. And that's the experience. And that's nice. Okay, we've got a room. We've got a building. That's just a servant so that we can be in here. Yeah. Yeah, kirtan is fine. Good kirtan is fantastic. What is a good kirtan? It's when somebody who has the musical capacity to create, no, I don't actually, to create such a kirtan, sings and presents, and others reciprocate with that. Without force. Without feeling bad about it in any way. Just like if you have a really good music group and the audience is just, yeah, dancing all around. Audience is not thinking, oh, hey, they don't know how to play. Audience is thinking, fantastic. Yeah. And they're not thinking, well, I don't know if I like this. I like it. Come on. But when you have kirtan like we used to do, 98% of the time it was done by somebody who didn't really know how to play, didn't really know how to sing. You may say that doesn't matter. I say nonsense. Lord Chaitanya, when he was in the Rath Yatras, Swarup Damodar would sing. What was Swarup Damodar? A professor of music. You think it doesn't matter? Lord Chaitanya wanted the best. Because the art that person expressed was so perfected, it was spiritual in its essence. And when Joe Brahmachari goes bang, 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 Hare, bang, 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 and you go, nah, it doesn't inspire you, it doesn't inspire me, it doesn't inspire him, maybe it inspires him, but you lose your taste to hear such a thing. That's the same old junk. That's why, I don't really care. But about a kirtan. But if somebody really good does it, whoo, I'm in it. In 1976 in Mayapur, we had a kirtan contest. And there was 90% devotee kirtaners and 10% from the outside Bengalis who came. All the devotees were doing their thing. I was up in the guest house. Yeah, okay, it's all right. It's the same old stuff. And then when the other groups came on, I didn't even know it, but I heard it and my ear went, whoa, what's that? I ran down to the stage, stood right in front. Wow, that's a kirtan. Huh? Everything, tap, tap, pa, pa, chi, 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 Bengali funk, and the little guy out front, he had his shoulders like, Hare Krishna, funk, 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 cha, Hare Krishna, ba, 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 Krishna. Everybody floored. I mean, anybody who had taste floored. That was a kirtan. There's a day and night difference. Probably the biggest disservice you can ever do is bring these amateur kirtans into some place and expect people are going to surrender their lives to that. Forget it. You want to learn, you want to do kirtan? Go learn how to do the real thing. You read Bhakti Ratnakar by Narahari Thakur. There's a huge chapter about the gopis playing mridanga. You know, all gopis together, they all got mridangas. Some got kartals. And they are cooking. 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 All of the gopis just cooking with that rhythm. That pure spiritual togetherness. Cooking. Then you start to approach what spiritual vibration means. They used to tell me in the beginning, this mridanga is spiritual because it was made in Bengal. It's Lord Chaitanya's instrument. And then you got somebody going boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 boom. And you go like, huh? Didn't sound so spiritual to me. But in the hands of some really one who knows, and all of a sudden, woo! A whole new level. A whole new level. The spirit is in the person, not in the instrument. But the instrument in the hands of the right person, yeah. You know, I can also maybe do a kirtan, but I would do melodies that you can't follow. And if I was to do a melody that you could follow, I would hate it. Because it's not what I want to sing. You know, I made that mistake when I first came here in March of '99 after the whole thing happened. You know, it was a horrible experience for me. Because this is not what I consider spiritual music. If I'm going to do spiritual music, it's going to be my spirit making music. And you're not going to be able to follow it. That's why I don't do it. You know, when we went to America, I was visiting my relative. I was in L.A., Los Angeles. So I snuck into the temple. I had a hat on and sunglasses. And I was seeing the deities. It was very nice. And then I noticed there was nobody else in the room. So I ran back and grabbed the mridanga. I was having a kirtan for the deities. Having a great time. And then I just noticed somebody had opened the door for a second and then shut it really fast. And when I went out, there was a group waiting for me. A friendly group, but nonetheless. Because they knew, I said, this guy with this hat and those sunglasses, that ain't no guest off the street. But it was the only way I could be happy in there, you know, because when I first walked in, there was some devotee in there, and he was, I don't want to criticize him, but it really is like indicative of the problem. He was like chanting and like, and you know, I was like, And then he was walking around where the people were, and he came up next to me, and he looked at me like, "You want Charnamrita or something?" And I was like, you know, it's like really. So to just say like, "Why don't we make a kirtan?" Hey, that's a great idea, but you got somebody who knows how to do it. Okay. Don't know how to do it? Better don't do it. My personal opinion. You can agree or disagree, whatever you like. That's my personal opinion. Okay? I guess that was too big an answer to a very little question. Yeah. What? Live. I'm standing up here because of the, huh? What? Okay, go ahead. What's she saying? Yes, yes, and why is that? Because as you go into any particular art very, very much, you come closer and closer to the essence of the art. And the closer and closer you get to the essence of the art, the closer and closer you get to the source of the essence, which is the source of everything. You can find God through meditative practice. You can find God simply through surrendering your heart. You can find God through the external manifestations of sound vibration. You can find God by just observing nature or people. If you go into the essence of what everything is, the essence behind everything, or the essence that is everything, is God. Why in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the opulence of the absolute? I am this tall mountain, the Himalayas. Amongst the fish, I am the shark. I am these greatest of all these different categories. It's again the same thing, the essence. Or, if you want to see it, the greatest manifestation of it. Or, surprisingly enough, the smallest of all manifestations within matter. So many nuclear physicists seeing the arrangements in that which is subatomic, coming in contact with such magnificence. people who reacted after the buildings were blown up in America, in New York. Yeah? The people there on the street. The firemen. The doctors, the nurses. The common people who all of a sudden showed incredible compassion, kindness, mercy, such goodness. People crying out of this feeling of such an experience. You can find God there too. And many did. But sound is wonderful. If used right. If used wrong, that's why I get so frustrated with this machine, you know. You know how hard it is to play when the sound comes out somewhere else? You hit here, over there, a little bit later, a sound comes out. It's as if it has nothing to do with you. This machine is screwed up because somebody screwed it up. I have to play a sound which is disembodied from me, and the only way to do it is to sit in the audience and listen to it and hope that my body can still play over here. When sound is in such a condition, it stinks. But when sound is something that is coming directly from your expression, your energy of expression, it's fantastic. And that's actually the essence of sound, of music, of speech. It comes from the essence of your expression. Babies who can't talk yet. The little those sounds they make. Why is it so powerful? Because they are so unmessed up that their sound vibration is directly from their essence. And therefore, we love it. And if we can do the same thing with our expressions, we will love it, and those who hear it will love it. That includes music, speech, any expression. What we write, how we act towards another person, how we wish to help them or how we wish to render service. You know what I mean? Is it okay? I guess we quit. It's 8:30. All right, go ahead. Well, it depends on who you are. And it depends on which people you have around you. And it depends on which circumstances you're in. And it depends on when it happens. In other words, it depends on the moment. If you demand, for instance, that I can only render service to people in this way, that's okay. You can do like that. A doctor might do that. I will render service to people in my office In that way, it's easy to understand how to render service to people. You have a service that they need and you do it. But there's much more to it. Let's say a person comes up to me and is angry at me. And you can replace anger with any expression. How can I render service to that person? By listening and finding out what's wrong. And sincerely trying to help them. You know, it's like if somebody cuts their finger and they come up to you and you say, "Oh, you're not your body, don't worry about it." You might think you are rendering service to them by telling them that they're not their body. But even if it's true, it doesn't matter. Because this person's requirement at that moment is first aid, not philosophy. So rendering service to people means being sympathetic to and being aware of what they need. Not what you want. The question is, I want to serve you like this. Rather, what is it that I can do for you that you need? Of course, you can take that to various perverted extremes. But I assume I'm talking to intelligent people. I assume correctly. Yeah.
Подобное ощущение выдается как-то самому допустим, моя проблема заключается в том, что очень часто встречаются состоятельные семьи, которые изучают, скажем так, другие энергии. Другие энергии изучают. Я понимаю, что самое лучшее было бы научиться сохранять ту энергию, которая есть у меня внутри, не теряя контакт с ней, такой прекрасной энергией, которая сегодня испытала, другими я сталкиваюсь с тем, что в большинстве случаев это не получается. Я попадаю под влияние тех энергий, которые я хотел бы попадать в другие люди, потому что я вынужден жить в мире. Такой самый простой пример, как очень так говорят, что кто-то выкидывает мусор на голову, но более сложный случай, когда ты сталкиваешься с агрессией.
Wait, I want to answer your question right now. I know, but I want to answer it right now. Whether it's your question or not, I want to tell you something good about it. Because I've experienced just what you're talking about. I've seen, let's say you come up against somebody, not against, you come in contact with somebody who's got an energy which is not something you like so much. Now, if you fight the person's energy, even subtly, immediately the energy of conflict is there. When you're thinking that you're going to stay in your transcendental platform, and you're going to, resist the materialistic energy of the person, then you are in a conflict situation. But, now obviously everybody knows what it means to be in a conflict situation. It's not going to flow. Nothing's going to flow. Your energy doesn't flow, their energy doesn't flow. You're both like this, isn't it? I have started to understand and have actually started to, in a lot of cases, practice letting their energy flow. And if it's something I don't like, I just stay out of its way. Now, I'm not talking about like if some, thief comes on the street and wants to beat me over the head. I'm talking about normal relationships, yeah? I just stay out of the way and let their energy flow by, and then I send my energy. Not at them, sometimes around them, sometimes in the room. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, maybe in 8th or 9th grade in school, I guess I was about maybe 12 or 14 or 15, let's say. I had, in my school, I had a wild bunch of guys who every time during lunch, they used to run at each other and go smash each other. And I used to think, like this is like some kind of bunch of wild animals out here, and I don't have anything to do with it. So I just kept away from them, and nobody bothered me. But one day I was talking to somebody, and one guy, I even remember his name, but I'm not going to bother saying it. He comes running at me, "Ah!" And I'm like, oh my God. So just as he came, I went like this, and he ended up. This was one of the guys who were most powerful. And I was like, not, more or less like this, but, I'm not very physically anything. So then he got up and went, "What?" And then went, "Ah!" And I just went, and he went, and then he was looking at me like, "What?" And then he got up and walked away. And I went on talking with the person. And I never really had learned the lesson of what I did naturally. I didn't learn judo or something, I just did it. But now, energetically, when I'm dealing with people, sometimes they may come at me with the "ah." They may even speak very nicely, but their energy's I just let it flow by. And I reciprocate with them. I laugh at their joke or whatever. I get into what they are on their level. And I show in the relationship how I and them have something to relate on, whatever small thing it can be. Even if I just appreciate them. One of the absolute best ways you can keep yourself covered from having to be attacked by any particular energy is to appreciate the energy. Appreciate something about them. And immediately, the nature of their energy dissolves. Because you have acknowledged them, and you have appreciated them, or you have just accepted them without judging them. And you are allowing your energy and their energy to flow without conflict. This works in most cases, except those kind of cases where, you know, you want to get out the door and somebody's going, can't get out. Somebody who's directly trying to conflict with you when you have only one choice of action, that's another situation. Needs another kind of mentality to deal with. But in the cases like what you were describing of having to be with people or deal with people and stuff like this, I've found that trying to be this transcendental personality who is in this conflict situation with other people's energy, it's not good for you, not good for them. Did it help? Okay. Sure.
Прежде всего, я не пытался выйти в такой ситуации, когда я полностью сидел, это означает, я наоборот как раз пытался найти какой-то контакт с людьми и принять как бы то положение, которое они предлагают, потому что это было проблема заключалась в том, что я подпадал под их менталитет, который происходит, это воспринимать мир как эмоционально реагировать.
Yes, you will be influenced. Is that bad? So when you go home and your hands are dirty, what do? Do you sit around and you say, oh, look at these dirty hands? Now I can't, eat the same way, and and if I touch my wife, she's going to really, oy, oy, oy. Do you do that? No. You go and wash. You clean yourself up. Then you go start again. Same thing. But if you like the dirty hands, that's another thing. Yes, that's life. And either you change your lifestyle, change your occupation, or change your value structure, or just accept it, or learn how to purify yourself afterwards. But I tell you, if you do this flow thing, it helps a lot. Huh? Yeah. It really helps. It really helps. Because, you know, the reason your energy becomes influenced is because your energy is attacked. Your energy field, which is what you feel is what is you, becomes attacked, I mean. And when it's attacked, you feel injured in some way. What I said was, don't let it attack you. Appreciate it as it's floating by. Because as soon as you appreciate it, it's got no more point. It becomes a big balloon. Just bounces off. As soon as you resist it, then that's why it's coming at you like this. To break through your resistance. And whether you succeed to resist it or not, your energy is affected by it. And if you don't resist it, yet you don't accept it, you're not hurt by it. This is the essence of the superior martial arts. It's the essence of Aikido. It's the essence of Jiu-Jitsu. They use the energy of the opponent against the opponent. You look in Star Wars, Episode 1, the Jedi. Yeah? The Jedi, what are they doing? They're just sending the energy back. Have you ever been attacked psychically? Have you ever been attacked energetically? You probably don't know it. At one point you have. But when you become aware of it, you want to know how to deal with it? It's simple. Number one, you take what you've already accepted and what's coming at you and you send it back. Without any of your own energy going out. And then you just say, I do not accept it. In essence, that's it. Obviously, there's an awful lot of points in between. But in essence, that's it. He doesn't want to ask a question. Yagya wants you to ask a question. Well, go ahead. Okay. Better you put it in Russian first. Oh, okay. Otherwise I'll forget. Why is it that your thinking of what he needs is better than what he thinks he needs. Oh. Mm. Mm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I would say Russian. I would answer like this. My job as an empathetic person is to first find out what it is that the person is expressing to me he needs. As an empathetic person. Somebody who has empathy for others. Somebody who's... In other words, my first business is to find out what is this person saying? What do they mean? What do they want? Simply taking the time to do that is 90% of the work. Just to really find out what this person is expressing. Then you can categorize it. Is it something that this person wants me to do something about? Is it something that I can do something about even if the person's not asking me to do it? And is it something I can do something about at all? Is it something the person needs which is like a physical thing, which I can either get and give to them or help them get it? Or is it something I can't or don't want to give? In that case, I decide I want to, I don't want to help. Or is it that this person just wants to express themselves? Express their grief, express their stress or anxiety, express their love, express their hate, express their anger. Then, if it's an expression, I should understand what they're expressing fully and respond in a way which is most beneficial for that person according to the decision or the advancement I have. It may be the person is just telling me how horrible I am, then I should really just listen to him, accept him, and say, I'm sorry. But really mean it. That could be a great way to help a person. Or maybe the person's in pain and just needs somebody to listen to them. And doesn't even want advice, just wants somebody to listen. So I listen. Or maybe the person wants, 1,000 rubles. And then I find out why. And if I feel like giving the 1,000 rubles, I'll give it. And if not, I'll say, well, I really appreciate your situation, but I'm not in a position to fulfill your desire. When people come and ask you things, they have to be aware that you can say no. Child, okay. I'll give you an example Gordon gave me, okay, about child. So I'm giving the example that Gordon once gave me with his own sons. Gordon was here. He has 3 sons. And when they were quite young, he found out that they wanted to smoke cigarettes. So he told them, okay, you want to smoke cigarettes? We're going to go outside on the porch, and I'm bringing out a box of cigarettes. And you are going to smoke cigarettes. And when they finished one cigarette, he gave them another cigarette. And when they finished that cigarette, he gave them another cigarette. And then he gave them another cigarette. And soon they were green. And he said, here, take another cigarette. And he said, no! And they didn't smoke for the rest of their lives. I mean, that's not the answer to all problems, but it gives you an idea that restricting somebody may not be the best way to deal with it. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But not necessarily they want to give up, but they want to do something else. I don't think giving up is the question. I think wanting to do something else is the question, or the answer. I don't know how you say. Doing something else is like, okay, I'm doing this. Yeah, well, now I'll do that. It's the choice we make all the time when we come to the point of seeing something for what it really is. Some devotee from Germany called me and was very upset because he felt very bad about himself. So I understood this person had been totally overwhelmed with all kinds of sexual activities. And he was fighting with his constant desires. So I said, why are you fighting? He said, what do you mean? I've got to fight. It's bad. I said, why do you think it's bad? He said, because it is. I said, but you want to do it. He said, because I'm bad. I said, you're not bad. If you go out and do these things, at one point, if you want, you'll stop. Because you are good. And if you don't want to stop, then that means you want to do it. And Krishna says, what does repression accomplish? So have some faith in yourself. I have faith in you. Do what you want to do. But probably after a while, you'll stop. Because you won't want to do it anymore. But if you do want to do it, it's what you want to do. Do it. Express yourself that way. See where it leads. You're a good person. You'll end up in the right place. Then he told me, you know, I already did that. I already went and did all these things. And then I said, I don't want to do that anymore. It's just that I feel so guilty. I said, why feel guilty? You should have a celebration. You proved to yourself you're a good person. You went into that thing which you judged as bad, and you came out. So why don't you judge yourself as good? And he was like, wow, yeah, thank you. I said, it's common sense, but you're welcome. I mean, if I tell you, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and you're thinking inside, I want to do, I want to do, I want to do, who is the loser here? And you're just going to take birth again and do it, whatever it is. And if you're good, which you are, you'll move on. Therefore, discipline is what you wish to discipline yourself. And you will. You will. And I will discipline myself by saying, good night. And if somebody can figure out how to reset this stupid machine, I'd be very happy. You know, tomorrow and the next day I wanted to do like workshops and things. But it seems like there's a lot to talk about too, so I don't know what you'd rather do. I don't even know, I'm not even sure what I will do tomorrow anyway if we had workshops, so probably something, but... Did you like this format tonight?
Thank you very much.
No, that's okay, but I'm asking about tomorrow. What do you want? Would you like to talk together tomorrow more or less like this, or would you like to also do much more practical things? And I'm not even sure if you'll like the practical things or even I know what to do. Yeah? This group wants practical. Anybody else? Or how about a mixture? Huh? Mixture. Okay, we do a mixture. I'd like to also try that we can do something together with the deities. Would you like that? We can do that too. Okay? Yeah. Good night. Okay. Haribol.